Let's start. I pray and hope that you have had a wonderful, um, and glorious Sunday so far by participating either in person at your church or um, on the internet. God bless you all. And the epistle reading actually first is the second epistle of St. Paul to St. Timothy, and the gospel reading is from the gospel according to St. Luke. Let's read both of them. They're short, they're not that long. So, the second epistle to St. Timothy by St. Paul, it's chapter 3, verses 10 through 15. My son Timothy, and as I have commented on this, Timothy is not really his son. St. Paul is just older than Timothy, and in the custom in the Middle East is to call everybody son or daughter. So, my son Timothy, you have followed my teaching, conduct, purpose, faith, long suffering, love, patience, persecutions, sufferings, what things befell me at Antioch, at Iconium, and at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, and out of them all the Lord delivered me. Indeed, listen to this one. Indeed, all who would live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. Let me read this again. Indeed, all who would live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. But people who are wicked and deceivers will proceed from worse to worse, deceiving and being deceived. But as for you, continue in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing from whom you have learned them, and how from infancy you have known the sacred temple writings, which are able to make you wise for salvation through faith in Christ Jesus. See, this is an incredible epistle reading. At the beginning, St. Paul tells St. Timothy what he went through. It's an implied message to St. Timothy. He's telling him, look, you followed my teaching, my conduct, my purpose, my faith, long suffering, love, patience, persecution, suffering, and the things that befell me in Antioch, and so on. There is a hidden message in this. Yes, he says, this is what befell me as St. Paul, but the hidden message to St. Timothy, you too need to suffer that. You need to put up with all of that because you saw me do it. So take heart. Don't lose heart. Don't despair. You've seen me do this. You've got to do them. That's what St. Paul told St. Timothy. And then he said, indeed, if you do that, if you live a true godly life in Christ, you will be persecuted. Don't think that you're going to escape persecution. He is encouraging Timothy in his life. And he said, God, Jesus Christ, delivered me from everything I had to go through and endured. God delivered me from all of that. So be patient, and God will deliver you from all of that as well. It doesn't mean God is going to come down to earth again, grab Timothy by the hand, and pull him out of these dangers. That's not what he means. What he means is that being delivered from all of these dangers can happen through another human being or through God strengthening you and telling you what to say at the right time, telling you what to do at the right time. That's what St. Paul means. This is a very important message, not to Timothy only, but to all of us. When we feel despair, when we feel beaten, when we feel we're going to give up, that's when God helps us, strengthens us, either through other people or through Himself, and delivers us from all of these issues. So let's remember this. He said, indeed, all who would live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. He didn't say some. He didn't say just you, Timothy. He said all who would live a godly life in Christ will be persecuted. Very important to remember. Okay, let's move on to the Gospel reading according to St. Luke, chapter 18, verses 10 through 14. And by the way, today marks the beginning of the Triodian. So 4 Sundays before Great Lent starts. The Gospel reading of the publican and the Pharisee, always marks the beginning of the Triodian. Yeah, I know the name Triodian sounds like 3, but it is not. It's 4 Sundays. The Triodian is 4 Sundays. Okay, let's read. The Lord spoke this parable. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other is a tax collector. So, right there, a tax collector is a person whom everybody despised back then because he defrauded people of their money. He collected more taxes than needed by the government and he pocketed the rest. So one is a 2 men went up to the temple to pray. One is a Pharisee and the other is a tax collector. Here is what the Pharisee prayed. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee. Is that bad? Is that bad? The Pharisee is thanking God. That's a good thing. We should learn from that. We should all thank God. But then the rest shows how foolish he is. God, I thank thee that I am not like other men. He's giving the credit to himself. I thank thee that I am not that you gave me the strength not to be like others. I thank thee that I am not, taking the credit for himself, like other men, extortionists, unjust, adulterers, or even this tax collector. So he's exalting himself and putting down all of those other people. He said, I fast twice a week. We Orthodox Christians fast twice a week, right? I give tithe of all that I get. We're supposed to give tithe of all that we get. Tithe meaning 10% of our income. So the Pharisee fasts, give tithe. Let's see. So he is enumerating all the good things that he does according to the law. So he does everything the law asks him to do, except for humility. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven. He was like this. He would not even lift up his eyes to heaven. He was standing far off. He did not come to the front of the temple, but he beat his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner. God be merciful to me, a sinner. He did not elevate himself. He did not put down the Pharisee, that he's not humble. He did not put down anybody else. He just worried about himself, and he said, Lord, have mercy on me. I am a sinner. Jesus continues and says, I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but he who humbles himself will be exalted. So the Pharisee exalted himself, and the publican debased himself. So Jesus said that alone will exalt the publican in the eyes of God and will humble the Pharisee in the eyes of God. So humility is very, very important. It is important to fast, absolutely. It's important to give tithe. It's important to pray. It's important to do all of these things, as the Pharisee did, in a Pharisaic way, which means literally. He did it literally, but he wasn't humble. And Jesus said, because he wasn't humble, he did not go to his house justified, but the publican was justified. Humility is very, very important. All right. As I said last week, today is the beginning of the Triodion, and as I said that earlier today, the beginning of the Triodion. Next week is the Sunday of the Prodigal Son. The Sunday after that is Judgment Sunday, which is also Meat Fair Sunday, last day to eat meat. The Sunday after that is Forgiveness Sunday, last Sunday before Great Lent starts. It is also Cheese Fair, last day we eat cheese and dairy products. And it is also the Sunday of the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise, and by extension we are expelled out of paradise. It symbolizes our expulsion from paradise, but the church doesn't leave us hanging for long. On a great and holy Friday evening, when we process the bier, and at the end of the procession we enter the church under the bier, as we venerate on top of the bier the epitaphion. That symbolizes our entrance into paradise again. So Forgiveness Sunday is the expulsion from paradise. Holy and Great Friday evening is the entrance into paradise again. God bless you. If you have any questions, please start typing them up while I make a few announcements. We will have 3 Lenten retreats. The first one is the Antiochian Men Lenten Retreat on March 20th. Registration for that retreat has already started. The registration link was sent on Saturday in the newsletter, the Antiochian Men newsletter. And if you missed that, you can go to antiochianmen.org and you can register there for the retreat. It's on March 20th, Antiochian Men Lenten Retreat on March 20th. And then after that, in April, the Teen Cyber Spring Retreat is on April 10th. April 10th, Teens Cyber Spring Retreat. And then the week after is the Antiochian Women Retreat on April 17th. So the Antiochian Men Retreat is on March 20th. The Teen Retreat is on April 10th. The Antiochian Women Retreat is on April 17th. For the Antiochian Men Retreat, you can go to antiochianmen.org to register, or through the Antiochian Men newsletter that was emailed on Saturday. There is one more thing that I'd like to announce, which is very important as well. On April, we're going to have a series, a recorded series, explaining the acronym LOVE that is on the antiochianmen.org. Michael and I will record an explanation for what the L stands for, the O, the V, the E, and love in general. So L for leadership, and so on. It's an acronym that are the 4 core values for the Antiochian Men. And that series will air on during April. We will record it before Great Lent starts, and it will be edited and posted one video at a time during April. Okay, let's check out the questions. Hello Sandra, welcome. Hello Father Gabriel, welcome. Was the Pharisee being falsely humble? Actually, the Pharisee was not humble at all, because he boasted of what he had done. He said, I fast twice a week, I give tithe, and so on. I'm not as that person over there. I'm not as low as him. I'm up here. So he was not humble at all, and he debased other people and showed off what he does. He had no humility whatsoever. The publican, if you mean the publican, the publican was humble, and it does not seem from the gospel reading that was false humility, because he stayed right at the front, at the back of the temple, and he would not even look up to the heaven, and he beat his breast saying, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. So it seemed to be true humility that the publican had. Okay. Hello, Amal. God bless you all. If you have no more questions, Father Stephen, any suggestions on how to ask forgiveness of one another during Forgiveness Vespers, considering COVID restrictions? I am sure Metropolitan Joseph will send some directions, some directives on how we do this. So we await the Metropolitan to send this information. I am sure he will do that. Okay. The Sunday before that, if there are no directives from the Archdiocese, from the Metropolitan, then we can recommend something. Okay. Any other question? Let me go over the retreats again. The Antiochian Men Retreat is on March 20th. You can register for it on antiochianmen.org. The Teen Cyber Spring Retreat on April 10th. The Antiochian Women Retreat is on April 17th. Okay. So Deacon Andy, those directions are included in the online liturgical guide for Subday for that Sunday Vespers on Cheese Fair Sunday. Okay, there you go. The directions are there. You sure, Subdeacon Andy, they are there? And they are specific to COVID-19? How to do it during the pandemic? If it is, then it's right there. Hello, Anna Sarah. God bless you all. God willing, we'll see you next Sunday. You read them this week? Okay, wonderful. So they are up on the website, you said, right? Online, liturgical guide. Okay, wonderful. So it is on the website, antiochian.org. And let's see, those directions are included online on the liturgical guide for that Sunday's Vespers, or on Cheese Fair Sunday. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Subdeacon Andy. God bless you all. We'll see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.